Do you want to know how to create Rclone config file and use it on Google Colab? Then watch this video until the end. Hi guys, this is Cheems. In this video, I'm gonna show you how to create Rclone config file and use it on Google Colab. I started this Rclone Basics video series to show you the Rclone operations that I know, so you guys will able to use Rclone on day-to-day basis. Please remember, this series isn't for experts, but for those who are interested to learn Rclone. On the other hand, it isn't a big deal guys, you just have to remember a few commands and remember what happens if we execute a certain one, that's all. Also, there may be a lot of options that I have missed, so all you guys are welcome to point them out. Okay, let's head to the tutorial. First, I'm gonna show you how to install Rclone on your PC. It doesn't matter which operating system you are using, I'll show you how to do it on Windows, Linux and Mac OS. If you are using Windows, you can continue watching from here. But if you are using Linux or Mac OS, just continue watching from the timestamp shown in the video. Right, this is Windows 7 and first I'm gonna install Rclone. It's pretty easy, just search for Rclone on Google and go to their website. Then head to the download page. Here you can see all the packages and download the package you want for your OS. Since here we are using Windows 7, I download the package for Windows. Now extract the zip file. I extract the zip file here and rename the folder because it's comfortable for me to see the folder name like this. Now open this exe file. It says that we should open a CMD window here to use Rclone. To open a CMD window in the current directory, go to the address bar and type CMD, then enter. Just run Rclone config command to check if it is ready to use. It says that no remotes found, so we need to add new remote drives to use Rclone. I'll show you adding my Google Drive as a remote drive. To do so, type N and press enter. Now provide a name for the remote. I give it a name like this. Here you can see a list of remote drive services that Rclone works with. Since I'm going to use Google Drive, I type 13 as the input. To use default client ID and secret, keep those fields empty and press enter. To acquire full access, type 1 and press enter. Just press enter to default values for these options as well as we did for client ID and secret. Here you should type N or just press enter because we don't need to edit advanced config. Next, it will ask you to use auto config. If you are not sure, type Y or just press enter. It will open your default browser and take you to the Google sign-in page. But if you want to open the sign-in page on another browser or you are working on a remote or headless machine, type N. It will give you the URL to the sign-in page so you can open it from anywhere you want. Now I'm going to choose the second option, but I will show the first one too. Now we have to copy this URL from the CMD. If you are using a newer Windows version like Windows 10, you can simply copy it by right-clicking on the URL. But if you are using Windows 7, follow my method. Right-click on the CMD window and select Mark. Then mark the area of the URL and copy it. I use Ctrl+C, then create an empty text file and paste the copied text on it. Then you can copy the URL like this. Next, open the URL from any browser and sign into the Google account. It will give you a verification code. Copy it and paste it down on the CMD. If you have any team drive under your Google Drive account, from here you can choose it. But here I'm going to use my default drive storage, so I press enter without typing anything. We have to press enter again to finish the process. Right, we just added the first remote drive. Now I'm going to show you how to add a team drive or shared drive as a new remote. When it asks me to use auto config, this time I'm going to select the first option, so you can see what happens if we select the first one. Yeah, my default browser opened automatically and took me to the sign-in page. In this method, we don't get a verification code. Now it's time to select the team drive we want to use as the new remote. Yeah, this is the one I want to use. Here we should type Y because we are going to add a shared drive as the new remote. Now it will show you the shared drives you have access to as a list. Provide the number 11 to shared drive you want to use. I'm going to use the fourth one, so I type 4 and press enter. Next, press enter again to finish the process. Right, now you know how to add remotes to Rclone. If you don't have another remote to add, you can type Q here to quit Rclone. Now I'm going to show you how to find the Rclone config file. Type Rclone config file command on the CMD and press enter. It will show you the path to the location where the config file is stored at. Here you can see the config file. Right, now you can skip the next part, which is the tutorial for adding new remotes on Linux. So you can continue watching from this point to see how to mount remote drives on Colab. Now I'm going to show you guys how to do this on Linux. You can do this on macOS in the same way I do it on Linux. If you are a Windows user, you don't need to watch this part because it is the same thing I have shown in the previous part. Okay, let's head to the tutorial. Open your browser, just search for Rclone on Google and go to their website. Then head to the download page. Here you can see all the packages. We can use this command to install Rclone globally if we are using one of these operating systems. Copy this command, open a terminal window and paste it here and run. If you get any error saying that curl command not found, just run sudo apt install curl command to install curl before installing Rclone. Right, now we can install Rclone by running the command we copied before. Just run Rclone config command to check if it is ready to use. Yeah, it says that no remotes found, so we need to add new remote drives to use Rclone. Before adding a remote, I clear the history. Right, let's see how to add a new remote. I'll show you adding my Google Drive as a remote drive. To do so, type N and press enter. Now provide a name for this remote. I give it a name like this. Here you can see a list of remote drive services that Rclone works with. Since I'm going to use Google Drive, I type 13 as the input. To use default client ID and secret, keep those fields empty and press enter. To acquire full access, type 1 and press enter. Just press enter to use default values for these options as well as we did for client ID and secret. Here you should type N or just press enter because we don't need to edit advanced config. Next it will ask you to use auto config. If you are not sure, type Y or just press enter. It will open your default browser and take you to the Google sign-in page. But if you want to open this sign-in page on another browser or you are working on a remote or headless machine, type M. It will give you the URL to the sign-in page so you can open it from anywhere you want. Now I'm going to choose the second option, but I will show the first one too. Now we have to copy this URL from the terminal. You can either copy and open it on another browser than the default one or just open the link with the default browser. I click on open link so it will be opened with the default one. It will take you to the sign-in page. Now sign into the Google account. It will give you a verification code, copy it and paste it on the terminal. If you have any team drive under your Google Drive account, from here you can choose it. But here I'm going to use my default drive storage, so I press enter without typing anything. We have to press enter again to finish the process. Right, we just added the first remote drive. If you don't have another remote to add, you can type Q here to quit Rclone. Before adding a new remote, I will show you the shared drive that I'm going to add as a new remote drive. Yeah, it is the fourth one. Okay, let's add it too. When it asks me to use autoconfig, this time I'm going to select the first option. So you can see what happens if we select the first one. Yeah, my default browser opened automatically and took me to the sign-in page. In this method, we don't get a verification code. Right, turn back to the terminal window. Now it's time to select the team drive we want to use as a new remote. Now it will show you the shared drives you have access to as a list. Provide the number relevant to the shared drive you want to use. I'm going to use the fourth one, so I type 4 and press enter. Next press enter again to finish the process. Right, now you know how to add remotes to Rclone. If you don't have another remote to add, you can type Q here to quit Rclone. Now I'm going to show you how to find the Rclone config file. Type Rclone config file on the terminal and press enter. It will show you the path to the location where the config file is stored at. Here you can see the config file. Next, I'm going to show you how to mount remote drives on Google Colab using Rclone. Some of Colab notebooks I have created or shared have an option to mount remote drives with Rclone. To mount remote drives, run this step. Here you should upload the Rclone config file. Then we can mount the desired remote drive with the second cell. In the second cell, it asks you to provide the Rclone config name, which is you provided when Rclone asks you to give your remote a name. Here you can see what the config names of my team drives are. First, I'm going to mount my default drive storage, which I named as Colab Dude, so I type its name here. Also, you can decide which directory you want to use as the mount location, but keep it default. It would be easier. After the next few seconds, you will know how to decide the mount location. So later, you can either decide the mount location on your own or use the default one. Next, click here to view the storage of the Colab instance we are working on. By default, we are in the content directory. Okay, let's run the second cell. Yeah, you can see the remote storage has mounted correctly. Next, click on the refresh button. It will display the mount location. Yeah, here you can see my default drive storage. If you have added multiple remote drives to Rclone, you can mount them in the same runtime session. Then you can use them together. But before mounting another remote drive, we should change its mount location. Otherwise, your current mount location will be replaced with the second one. It won't affect the files in the remote drives, so don't worry if you mount the second remote without changing the mount location accidentally. I changed the mount location to W drive from U drive, so the next remote will be mounted at a new folder. Right, now you know how to decide the mount location. Okay, now I'm going to mount my team drive. You can also call it a shared drive. Yeah, Cheems is the config name for it. Now I run the cell. After a couple of seconds, you can see the success message in the output field. Next, click on the refresh button. Yeah, you can see those remote drives are mounted in the same runtime session, so you can use them together. I show you all the Rclone operations that I know in the next videos on this Rclone Basics video series. I hope you guys will enjoy this tutorial. Also, don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends. To watch more tutorials like this, do subscribe to the channel.